What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another YouTube video on my YouTube channel. I am Emmett Watkins Jr., also known as EJ Spun61 on all places on the internet. And today we're talking about Chloe Bailey's new album. Gotta be honest, y'all. Did not think I would be talking about a new Chloe Bailey anything for the rest of time. For folks who you don't know my background, my history. I love Chloe and Halle. I got their second album on my wall over here. Midnight Hour. Is it Midnight Hour? Ungodly Hour. There we go. I love that album so much that I got the vinyl on the wall, and I really want to see them live and see them perform some of those songs, which I've yet to have the opportunity to. But I was hoping that my love for both of them would carry over into a love for Chloe once she went solo. And then In Pieces came out, and look, I thought the Have Mercy song was, catchy and fun, but even that song, but mostly In Pieces as a whole, just did not hit for me. It just wasn't, it wasn't all that exciting of an album for me. Sonically, it wasn't quite there. It just kind of felt, I don't know, not fully formed is maybe the word I'd use. And of course, I was not enthusiastic about the goddamn Chris Brown feature on that album. There's no reason for Chris Brown to have a career at this point. Like, why are we doing that? But I was disappointed in In Pieces. It wasn't the worst album ever. It wasn't like a steaming pile of whatever. It just wasn't as good as Chloe's talent would have led me to believe. But I do feel like with this new album, Trouble in Paradise, she has finally made a body of work that is reflective of the talent that I know she has, and the talent she's been giving to some of these other artists out here. She's been on a Nasty Girl remix and all this stuff. So yeah, I'm just happy to finally get a song that hits this hard, or excuse me, an album that hits this hard. This is the first time in a long time, because for folks of you who've been around on the channel quite a while, been a while since I made YouTube videos. I made my first video a couple months ago, maybe like a month or two ago at this point, and been a long ass time since I've talked about music on here. So without too much further ado, let's go ahead and do the track by track breakdown, and then towards the end, I'll give my general opinions and my general close up of my thoughts here. Also, this is how crazy it is. I got so excited that I actually like this album because I want to like Chloe. I really have been wanting to like Chloe. And once I listened to it and I started realizing, hey, I enjoy this, I pulled out my pen and paper, started writing notes. So I got notes I'm going to be reading off of a little bit here as we go. So let's crack into the first track, All I Got, comma, Free Falling. Or parentheses, I guess, free falling. It is I'm just going to read the notes out and then kind of extrapolate on the notes after I talk about them. It's a relatable sensation of feeling powerless to the pull of love and the attempt to separate desires of the heart from desires of the flesh. Kind of has that vibe, when she has the refrain where she's like, you can have my body, but not my heart. I feel that. Sometimes you only want to be satisfied when it comes to the flesh. You don't want to get your emotions tangled up. But the thing about intimacy is, if you have any type of heart yourself, it is exceedingly difficult to not get your emotions involved in any way whatsoever. But I like this song kind of tapping into that. And yeah, I think that song was really good. So I really like how this starts off the album. I like how it kind of has like a grand kind of, I'm getting your attention pretty bigly at the beginning of the album and kind of carrying you through the emotions that we're gonna be having on some other tracks later on. Very short song, but I feel like it only feels short because there's a couple transitions here. You have that first big kind of, I want to say, operatic introduction, and then you have like a very sporadic kind of just vocals going on in the middle section. Then in that last part where you kind of have like a little kind of islandy vibe, kind of a bounce to it towards the end, I kind of wish that was stretched out into a full song because I really like the feel of that. Just the whole, I'm willing to give you all I got, for you I'd risk it all, no lie, for you I won't ride, for you I would die. I was bouncing with that. I really dig that, and the fact that it kind of gets cut off as soon as it starts up kind of disappointed me a little bit, but it's kind of no problem because the next track, track 2, just brought me right back in. Might As Well featuring Ty Dolla $ign. Now I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Ty Dolla $ign is not an artist that I love. Not that I have a specific problem with him specifically, but I feel like Ty Dolla $ign is seasoning rather than food itself. He is not a side dish. A lot of the best feature artists are ones that they hop on a track and it feels like, oh man, this track, you added more sustenance, you added more nutritional value to this track. Ty Dolla $ign, you can sprinkle him on anything and it'll taste a little bit better. He's like Lowry's. It's like, all right, if you weren't here, I don't think the song would be bad, but you never make a song worse. He's kind of a whatever artist. And I'm also slightly annoyed because I lost my virginity to his fucking music, and that's something I wish I could turn back time and change. But in any case, this song is very good. Ty Dolla $ign or not, this song is very good. Let's look at my notes for Might As Well. First off, I really, really, really love the sample, or I guess the interpolation that they use here. I don't think they directly sample the song, but they kind of play with the I guess musical stylings of that one song. I think it's Vivian Green might be her name. It's that one that's like, I gotta go, I gotta leave, so please don't make this hard for me. I love that song. That's one of my favorite songs of what I thought was the 90s. That's actually the 2000s. That's how old I am, good lord. But yeah, I really love that song. So to hear Chloe kind of give a light rendition of that type of cadence, I really love. I think Chloe slides on this. I think Ty Dolla $ign fits very well on here. I think Ty Dolla $ign, sometimes he has it depends on what type of Ty Dolla $ign you're gonna get. Are you getting the I'm trying to be hard Ty Dolla $ign, or are you trying to get the I'm trying to be soft Ty Dolla $ign? And this vocally sounded more like the I'm trying to be soft Ty Dolla $ign more than the, you know, I'm gonna put my thumb in this place and, you know, stuff like that. He's had some fucking wild lyrics before, but he subdues it because I think this track is more about feelings. It's more about the mental headspace rather than the physical actions of stuff. And that's kind of traditionally where I've been with a lot of these types of love songs. And I think kind of stretching this out into an overall theme of the album and my experience with it, part of my dislike or lack of love for In Pieces was because by the time it came out, I looked at love songs as something where I'm only interested in the love song if it is about the feelings. I care about the feelings of love and the non-physical aspects of it, because that's more or less all I knew or all I had a big connection to. I will say I have lived some life since In Pieces came out. I have had some experiences with some people, and now that I'm getting to Trouble in Paradise, I'm able to meet the album where it's at a little bit more. It's able to hit me in certain spots and kind of bring up certain thoughts and reference things that I actually have awareness of and reference things that I actually have a little bit of relatability to. And this song is kind of bringing up some of that. So going back to the notes here, let's see. I love the Let It Go sample. It's a visceral portrayal of that reckless feeling, craving of intimacy. And really, I like that. That's something that I've kind of been, I'm not going to spell out too many things because, you know, I don't want to get too personal on the internet. But that feeling of like, hey, I have a physical craving for intimacy and more, and I just want it satisfied regardless of the repercussions later. I just want that craving, that itch. I want it scratched. I definitely get that. I understand that feeling, and this is a song where I might not have been able to understand that feeling in the past, but now I definitely get it. And so when she talks about, hey, I might text that nigga at 2 a.m., tell him I want him right here. I don't care where you've been, all that stuff. Like, not only is that something that I've come to see myself in, but that's also a feeling I've seen expressed from other people. And that whole desire of like, I don't care, like I want it right now. That's it's mildly toxic, but it's also like, yo, sometimes it's just like that. Should it be like that is a different question that this song is not really tackling at all. But I like that it's talking about that. I think it's a really good portrayal of it. Ty Dolla $ign is serviceable, of course. Chloe slides on this track. Great vocals, great opening vibe. I think this is just a really, really, really solid song. I remember FD Signifier, shout out to the YouTube video SAS. FD Signifier, great creator in general, I would say. But he said on a recent video on his B-Sides channel, who does this generation have for R&B? And when he said that, at first I thought I was agreeing, because he was trying to make a point about Drake, about how now if you want the R&B vibe, Drake is what you're turning on. And for a lot of people, a lot of young kids especially, that is the case. But I think people like Chloe with this song and other tracks we're going to talk about here, definitely keeping that R&B vibe alive. She is bringing that forward for a new generation. Of course, you got your Ari Lennoxes and whatnot too, but I think Chloe and a lot of these other girlies, shit, Coco Jones as well. I think there's a lot of good R&B acts out there, and they're doing great stuff. And Chloe is no exception. So might as well. Great song by Chloe Bailey. Now let's get on to the next track, Boy Bye. Now I've said a lot of positive things, and I'm going to tell you right now, I feel positively about Boy Bye. But first, let me say some things that are going to sound like some slights. This is the most, when you're a Disney Channel star and you make that first album that's like trying to transition from, hey, my show is no longer airing on Disney Channel, I'm trying to be a legit pop artist, but people still know me as Disney, and I'm still largely backed by the House of Mouse, so I can't go too crazy with my first album. This sounds like the first single on that album. This feels like, look, I know she's, swearing and shit and saying some risque things later on, but just the sound, the upbeat guitar-y vibe of it, it just feels like kind of bubblegummy pop, but like conservatively sounding bubblegummy pop. Now, I like the song. I do like the song. I think it's fun. I think one thing that I didn't love about In Pieces was that a lot of those songs kind of sounded very sexy and seductive. Not that there's a problem with sexy and seductive, but there's a certain sound where it's very like the lights are down low. Like, I feel like you could fuck to a lot of the songs in Pieces, but I don't want to hear songs I can fuck to all the time. I'd like a little bit more variety in an album. I'd like a little bit more variety just thematically, because look, sex is cool and all, but there's other aspects of love you can talk about, other aspects of relationships you can talk about. I think Boy Bye is a great example of this, where you're talking about, hey, this boy is being crazy and treating me whatever type of way. Well, fuck that, Boy Bye. Now, I will admit, when I saw snippets of this on Twitter months and months ago, I kind of cringed, and I think I might have even tweeted something along the lines of like, wow, this is kind of corny. Like, Boy Bye is just a common phrase that we all know. To just get that common phrase and turn it into a song felt very cynical, felt very cash grabby, in the same way where, Drake's Tootsie Slide. Very just nakedly a song that white people can dance to on TikTok to go viral over, and he can make a couple million off of it. It's a very cynical song. Boy Bye kind of felt like a song initially, from the outside looking in, kind of felt like a song that was also similarly cynical. It is not. I'm happy to report Boy Bye is a good track. It is fun. It is bouncy. It is great. Looking at my notes here, not at all as cringe as I initially said on social media. Not the most lyrically or thematically dense, but very fun and light, refreshing vibe to get from Chloe, as her songs are often grown and sexy to a fault. I put that in air quotes. Low-key Disney Channel coded. And yeah, that's pretty much all my points on this one. I think it's a good track. I really like it. It's fun. It's enjoyable. It is a great single choice, and she had this as a single out there for quite a while before this album came out. I think it's a good track. I like Chloe staying in this lane. I don't think she should stay in it all the time. Then I think that's against who she is. But I like for her to visit it every so often, because it kind of gives a little bit more variety and space for the more sexual songs that she loves to make to breathe on these albums. So Boy Bye is a good song. Next song, Redemption. Criminally short song. This song is so short, not even 2 minutes long. I love the beat on this one. It once again, it goes back to that, like the end of I Got a Feeling, that first track. has that bouncy island vibe, has a really good kind of like sway your hips to it, kind of want to move back and forth in your seat. I really like the song, but it's just too short. It really makes me upset about it. And I really love her cadence on that second verse. I could take a lot more of her doing that little like da 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 da. You know, I just like that. I like it when she does fun things with her voice. She's a very talented singer, but I like it when she does things that aren't just the straight singing beautifully. Play with your voice a little bit more. I think Chloe, she's so talented that it feels like a waste to not do more with your talents. And this is an example of her definitely doing stuff. Oh man, and I'm actually playing the album a little bit while I'm making a song. While I'm making a video, I'm listening to tracks just to remind me of things. And man, I kind of want to just pause this and just jam out of Redemption again. I like the song so much. Like a lot of background samples and whatnot. But reading from my notes again, I definitely understood the be there when it's one of those days. The implications of toxicity are interesting, like the quote, fuck him, but you need him. Relatable. What I mean by these things, I need you to be by when it's one of those days. Let me pull up the lyrics to this one, because whenever I make these videos, especially the ones where I like wrote notes and breaking down shit, I try to have the lyrics in front of me. Now let me see here. In her verse, talking to me crazy out of pocket. Where is it? Oh yeah, here it is. Don't think you're the only one that's spinning the block. So bad, I'm gonna be good if you're calling or not. Bad timing when I'm on. Don't believe me, just watch. I'm good. Emptying my cup got me feeling away. Make sure that you're around if it's one of them days. Who knows, I might be game if you're willing to play. I know, you know. This is admittedly, this is tipping into that toxic vibe again, but I understand it. And I don't know if I relate to it, but I definitely can recognize it out in the wild, because it's that vibe where you're like, well, I'm good. I don't need him. I'm gonna go out here. I'm gonna have my fun. I'm gonna turn up, and I ain't gonna think about that nigga at all. And then you have it's juxtaposed to when you're switching the exact opposite vibe. You're like, damn, I'm feeling bad. I'm just feeling. I just want to be comforted. I just want intimacy once again. And intimacy doesn't always have to be sex. This is an example where you crave just a physical connection, or, you know, a deeper connection at all with someone. And you're thinking of crawling back in that hole and going back to your roster of people that you were supposed to X out of your life. I get that. Not something I've done, but definitely an urge I've had. Luckily I've stayed above it, but, you know, that's why I'm glad I came back around to Chloe. I'm glad I'm giving this album a chance, because I've lived some life now. I'm coming back to these songs that are about, you know, similar subject matter she had on previous albums, and I'm seeing what she's putting down. I'm picking up what she's putting down. So this is a really good example of that. So yeah, it's good shit. And yeah, the whole I'm not really big on Redemption, thinking I'm gonna make an exception. The whole song is just about that dichotomy of like, they don't deserve my time anymore, but it is so much emotional labor to find someone new that is worth your time, so to speak, that it isn't it just easier to go back to the person who knows what you like, who knows how to treat you physically when you do have those urges. So I like Redemption. A lot to read into for a song that's not even 2 minutes long, but I like it a lot. Next one, Temporary Single. I love this song. This might be one of my favorite songs on here. And this is a song where just on its face, this is absolutely the type of song I would have not liked on In Pieces. But because the entire album isn't 16 tracks of this vibe, I like it in unison with everything else here. And also I've grown up a little bit, so now there are things in this song that I'm like, ooh, that I kind of might have been repulsed by, that now I'm like, oh no, this is fine. Temporary Single. Let's check the notes. I love the Have I Told You I Love You. I love that original song. I feel, who sings that originally? It's like that's definitely 2000s R&B. I can't tell you who it is right now. It's like, it's not Jeremiah, but it's like some Genuine or maybe a Tyrese or something. It might actually be Tyrese, But I like that original song. That's definitely part of my childhood. So hearing her kind of revisit that cadence and that vibe, really like that here. Let's see. Love the vaguely Spanish flair. Yeah, as the track continues, this is a reasonably meaty track. There's not many tracks here that are like long, I would say, but at 3 minutes 11 seconds, this is like a more normal size track. I really like towards the end of the track where there's some like kind of Spanish dancing vibes to it. Like you get the little guitar going, and then the beat, the click of it kind of sounds vaguely like mariachi to me. I just like the vibe of it, and it makes you want to dance and makes you want to get up and move. But also I can just very easily, I love songs that invite a visualization of the music video, where I don't know if there's a music video for Temporarily Single. I haven't been keeping up too much with the music video rollout for these songs, but if there is, that probably looks like the Wild Thoughts video from DJ Khaled. Like it probably has that same type of Spanish flair. I'm imagining Chloe in like this big flowy, brightly colored dress, just getting down in like Mexico or something. It's just very vivid, and I love when a song kind of invites that imagery. And so I love this song. It's really, really good. The final breakdown, oh my god. At the end of this song, where she gives that temporarily single bad, where she just like really lowers her voice several octaves. That is like, I love that shit. I love a good look. I don't know if this is like a thing of mine, but I really do like when attractive people have deep voices. I think that's cool. Attractive women have deep voices. But specifically Chloe kind of does a Beyonce-esque thing. I know Beyonce ain't the only person who be putting her voice deep in songs, but when Chloe does it on this song, that's who I thought of. It kind of, not even that they sound alike necessarily, but like that just clicked into place immediately when I heard that. That hits so well, and the beat slows down and everything, and it just complements like the whole song. Kind of feels like not super fast paced, but like your heart rate's up.
Don't forget to take out your trash cans.
Thank you, Alexa. I appreciate that. I'm not cutting. But yeah, the whole song kind of has like a faster pace, and when it slows that back down, it kind of feels like, you know, this whole album is a lot about sex. It kind of has that cadence of like the energy is up and you're having your activities, and then when you're starting to cool down and everybody's chilling out and the fun has been had by both parties, you're starting to calm down and cool off. So I kind of like how it mirrors that. And then the whole Temporarily Single angle, I didn't have too much thematically to write about that, but I did like, I don't know, it's a fun idea where it's like, hey, I'll go back. I'm with some dude right now, but if this person calls me back, I'm going back. That's not something I necessarily relate to, but it is novel. I can understand it. It is something where it's like, I don't think I would be doing some shit like that, but I can understand having that urge. Once I have someone, I don't think there's a desire to go back to anyone from the past. But, you know, I can understand that, hey, if the one from the past is really fucking good in comparison to what you got now, I don't blame you. But for the next song, this one is absolutely the type of song that I would have disliked on something like In Pieces. This is grown and sexy to the max. This is Rose, a song written about her Rose toy. Now, I had a lot to say about this song because I started thinking about more than just the song. Let's go look at my notes. I feel like the sentiment. Oh, I feel and like the sentiment of the song. Knowing your body is the best way to satisfy it, but this is kind of a wild way to say it. Ultimately, I relate, but I feel this sentiment comes from having too many, or too many is a little bit judgmental. Maybe I'll refine that in a minute here. Too many negative sexual experiences with others to want to go solo. Love the empowering and shameless nature of the song. Let's extrapolate on those things. I like the idea of the song, where the song is about like, hey, I don't need anyone else to satisfy my sexual desires. I can do it all on my own. And I like that because, number one, masturbation among women is stigmatized in unique and different ways from masturbation in men. I think everyone kind of has it in their head that like all men masturbate, but if a woman masturbates, it's kind of seen as like a bigger deal for some reason. And also for women, a lot of them, the default for women is a toy is being used where dudes just, do whatever with their own built-in equipment. I like Rose because it's kind of taking that, what's the word I want to say, that risque topic and kind of just putting it front and center and making it also known that like, hey, the type of people that are probably listening to that song, the type of person who's like, Rose is my favorite song, are probably the people using Rose toys. Like, it's fine. I think in more recent years, women have been more confident with being open sexually, and I think that's a great thing. I think other folks like Meg Thee Stallion and other rappers, for as much as I don't love Sexy Red, I think her making sexuality more of a mainstream thing for women to not feel afraid to express, I think that's valuable. So Chloe's kind of hopping on that. When I say too many negative sexual desires, I think, because here's the thing, I also agree with the sentiment of Rose. I think it is kind of empowering to know your body well enough to know exactly how to get yourself satisfied. And I think that's cool for not just women, but also men. I think it's cool for, hey, you don't always feel like you need a woman to satisfy yourself, because sometimes you might try to find a woman to satisfy yourself, and now you're not treating her well because all you care about is getting yourself done. And I think it's valuable as a man to know what you need and when you just need to handle it on your own and not get someone else tied up in your own satisfaction. I think that's a good sentiment. But I think when it comes to Rose, when it comes to this kind of song and the vibe of it, the vibe is giving, when she says fuck those flowers, find my rose, the vibe is giving less like I want to do this on my own. It's more of a frustration. It's more of a, these dudes don't know how to please me right, so I'm gonna stop relying on them and I'm gonna go get my rose. And I don't really have a problem with that, because sometimes it really is just like that, especially if you're out here having a lot of experiences with other people. Once you have it the right way, it is really hard to not have it the right way. It is really hard to accept anything less than exactly what you want from anyone else. So I understand that desire to just be like, well, fuck you, I got it. But I just think that's very much so inspired by, hey, I've had all these experiences and I just want the one thing. My perspective on it, as someone who absolutely gets where she's coming from with that, I kind of feel like, intimacy is underrated, where it's not just about satisfying that one, physical itch. It is about connecting with a person. I value that connection more than scratching the physical itch. So when I hear Rose, I feel it for the most part, but then like by the time the song's over, I'm like, all right, but like cuddling kind of hits though. And that's kind of, you need another person for that. So to be like, fuck all of them, I don't know. I don't love it. Now, of course, that's not Chloe's end all be all opinion on this type of topic. There's other songs on here. Think she contradicts herself on this song with songs we've already heard in this review so far. So, we'll continue going. But that's kind of how I felt about Rose. As a song, I don't love it. It's not like something I'm going to spin back a lot. It is a inoffensive, totally serviceable song. Very traditional Chloe, I would say. But I do like the song only because there is so much to talk about. It does give me a lot to say here. And, I like how shameless it is. I like how Chloe will say these things and not feel weird about it and get confidence from it. I really, really do love that. And you can see that from how she performs and also just how she is outside of the music. So, yeah, shout out to this song, Rose. Next song, Favorite, featuring Anderson .Paak. Now, for those of y'all who don't know, I fuck with Anderson .Paak pretty heavy. I like him a lot. I loved him on, what was it? God, he did some... Oh, you know what? I've heard him on a million things. He was on the Games album. He had a great song on there. He's been doing stuff with a bunch of different pop artists and rap artists throughout history and throughout time for quite a while. Anderson .Paak's always been really good. So, yeah, seeing him pop up on here, I was interested to see what type of song Anderson .Paak would be on a Chloe album, but this is like the best possible scenario. This is such a fun song. It kind of gives me like early Chance the Rapper vibes because it has all the horns and it's just a very fun, light, danceable track. I think this is exactly the best track that could have gone right next to Rose, so that the contrast of the two tracks kind of really show out in each other. I love the song. Let's read some of my notes. Big band sounds, big plus, and Anderson .Paak is absolutely a vibe, so big plus on that again. Chloe slides on the back end of this track, and it's so nice to hear after a very sensual song like Rose, so just what I said here again. And yeah, Chloe, when she hits that, when she starts doing the lyrical miracle shit, and I know that's not what she's actually doing, but like when she starts doing that very fast talking, gets me hype. I love this song so much. And let's see, I will say my biggest critique feels like the song cuts out towards the end, only because it doesn't feel like the song crescendos as high as it possibly could. It feels like the song starts and it gets going pretty quickly, but then once it ends, it's kind of like it's just cut. It doesn't feel like there's some big like, oh, the band's getting more amped and more excited. And if there is a crescendo, it feels like the crescendo is way too short. It feels like we should have been sitting in that crescendo for quite a while before we just end the track. This deserved to be like a 4-minute track, and it's only 2 minutes 30 seconds. Now that I'm thinking about it, some of my bigger critiques on this album are some of these songs are too short for them, for as good as they are. This is one of those songs, but it is a good song. It's a great song. One of my favorites on the album, in fact. I think the song is great. So yeah, favorite is one of my favorites. On to the next song. Same Lingerie. I like this song because this song, it's not, how do I say this? It's grown and sexy again, but it's grown and sexy where it emphasizes the grown more than the sexy. By that I mean, go back to a song like Rose, very sexually explicit, but Same Lingerie kind of talks about the graphic emotions involved in something that is sexually explicit. It's weird because, I mean, the song is basically just talking about, you know, when you have a sexual experience that is so impactful, I'll say, that you feel different afterwards. It's kind of like that the idea that it's gonna stay with you. And you know, once again, there's another example where I've lived some life now and I relate to that concept now. But and well, just hearing it in this song, it's just very cool. If I heard this song previously, I don't think I would have been able to meet her where she is emotionally, where she's talking about, well, you hold me down when you finished and all this stuff, and whispered you want my babies and everything. Like, I think I wrote in my notes, the idea of like, you held me down and asked, would you have my babies and all that stuff? That's insane to me. That is fucking insane. Because for me, I know I'm not prepared for fatherhood. And I also know that it's very inconvenient to put all the onus on the women for handling whatever comes out of a sexual experience and taking whatever pill that they have to. I understand that's difficult. So I'm very much so like, let me wear protection or make sure I'm not here when this happens, if you know what I mean. Make sure I'm not in this specific spot when things are being released. So like, I've been very important about that. So to hear experiences like this, and this is an experience that is not a shock to me. I know people be like this. I know some people are like, well, look, I wasn't gonna have a kid, but you know, I got excited. Now here we are. For me, it's not that simple. For me, it's not that easy. But to hear a song talk about it where it is that easy as it actually is in real life, it's just interesting. I don't know if it's like, I already said it's like kind of wild, but it's like, man, niggas be out here just dropping and dipping. It's crazy. Let's read some of my notes. When you have a sexual experience so impactful, you got to retire to Jersey. The Same Lingerie, can't wear the same lingerie. She's hanging the fucking shit in the rafters like it's a fucking Michael Jordan jersey. Let's see. I probably wouldn't have liked this song as much if I didn't relate. It really feels like It really does feel like how she's saying. Like it kind of has that thing where it's like, it's another song that we're going to talk about later on, I believe, Moments, is going to talk about the same vibe. But like, you can't wear that same lingerie because it reminds you of that moment. It reminds you of the person you had that moment with. And even if that moment was like satisfactory in the moment, the fact that that person is no longer in your life kind of gives you a little bit of negative emotion attached to it. So the same lingerie isn't just, oh, they did it so good, you know, we got to memorialize it. It's also the inherent pain that comes with the love you had for someone who you are no longer exchanging love with. And that's another thing that is not only relatable, but is also like a very, very specific thing to put into songs. And it's once again, none of these concepts are things that are new to music, but I like how Chloe expresses them. So I really like that. It really feels like this. Gives off Ariana Grande vibes, Tattooed Heart specifically. Yeah, this song definitely gave me like, if not Tattooed Heart, but also like, I talk about a different song that gives me thoughts of this song, but there's some Beyonce songs that also remind me of this track, where it just has that very like, not necessarily autobiographical, but it feels like a story is being told rather than just a chorus about something in general. This feels very specific, and some Ariana Grande songs I liked for that reason, and I like this song for this reason. This feels like some real shit that might have happened to Chloe, so the emotion comes through even more authentically on this song. I already said the "Would you have my baby's" line is wild, and yeah, I already said that's how baby daddies happen. Look, I was talking to niggas at work. Niggas at work will talk to me about they shit, especially when I was, you know, going through my own relationship shit, and we were talking to each other about things. And they're just like, hey, man. And I'm like, I ain't about to hey, man, my way into a fucking fatherhood. But it's just wild. Just wild. Let's go on to a song that isn't so wild. Never Let You Go, featuring YG Marley. I think this song is serviceable. It is hard to say I love this song, but it is serviceable. And by that, I mean... It has a small bounce. It has a perceptible bounce to it, to where it makes you want to rock in your chair just a little bit. But also, I feel like the instrumentation on this track is a little bit too minimal for me to want to get up and dance to. The tempo and just vibe of this song is closer to, this is going to sound like a diss, and I apologize. It's closer to like elevator music. It's closer to lounging than it is to a club. Boy Bye, you turn it on in the club, people might dance. Some of these other songs you turn on in the club, people might dance. This is the type of song that's playing while hookah's blowing, which is fine, but doesn't excite me as much on this album. And it's not saying that every song has to be favorite, but if you're gonna make a song that's more lower key, extract some more emotion from it, like Same Lingerie did. I think Same Lingerie was an incredible emotional track. To get another song that's slightly higher in energy, but just isn't all that exciting to me, it's a little bit disappointing. But I will say, YG Marley, I really like his voice on this one, because Chloe's voice is so soft and angelic, in contrast to YG Marley, who sounds very like gruff and strained, and kind of hammers home that whole "never let you go." Like, it feels like he's begging with like his vocal inclinations, like he's begging, please don't go. And I really like it in these types of songs where you have that more like strained vocal performance that kind of really hammers home the desire in that plea. So I like it. I like Never Let You Go. Checking through the notes here, feels underdeveloped despite being a full track. Feels interlude-y is what I said earlier. It does feel interlude-y. Nice bounce to it, but it doesn't stick on the ribs much. I like how YG Marley sounds, like I said. A nice enough song, but definitely a mid-tier song. Since we're halfway through the album, this is definitely the place where you put in a song that's just like, all right, here's just another one. It's not bad. I wouldn't say it's a bad song. I like it, but it's like, I'm not like gonna say, hey, turn on this. I'm never gonna say turn on this track specifically, but when it comes on, when I'm doing my repeat album listens, it's not what I'm gonna skip. So yeah, that's my thought on that one. Next song, "Want Me" by Chloe and Halle. Now, I did not know this song was on the album beforehand. I think, the stereotype would be I saw Chloe and Halle on the album. As a Chloe Halle fan, I said, hey, I gotta check this shit out. That is not what happened. I was surprised to hear this song, but this song definitely gives me vibes of their joint album a bit, where you have like the guitar in the background, and the song also kind of has like a grander atmosphere around it, where Chloe is very singing about the emotions of love, not just love itself, but singing about the specific emotions about, like, when I have desire for someone, they don't have desire back, or when I don't have desire for someone, they have desire back. This is absolutely something I've experienced on both sides, and in a lot of different ways now that I've gotten this far into my life. Just, I've had crushes on people who didn't have crushes back. I've not been interested in people who then have crushes on me, and then I feel weird about it. And then even when you're within a relationship, there are times where it's like, hey, we're in a relationship, but then something happens that just corrupts it corrupts it permanently, where you have this thing and it has made you come away from this event emotionally different, and you want to manage that emotion and you want to work on that emotion to where it's not something that's going to affect how you move in the relationship, but ultimately you're not able to get over it, and you kind of turn on the other person in your heart before you turn on them in your mind or in your actions or anything else. It's a sad thing, but it is something that can happen. Even when you do communicate, you can, put your best foot forward and put your best effort out, but in your head, you're like, man, it's hard to get excited like I was now that I know XYZ is possible. So yeah, I really like this song. It is tapping onto a bunch of emotions that are not only familiar, but are expressed in a way that make them feel as grand as they are. So yeah, I love that. Let's go ahead and check out some of my notes here. These girls make magic every time. Hell yeah. They bring out the absolute best in each other. Very relatable on both sides, both not being wanted and not having that feeling reciprocated. Also been the one not expressing my love enough. And that's something, like I kind of just hinted towards, when you think you're expressing how much you care about a person, but they don't think that you want them like you actually do, because you're not expressing it every day. You're not saying it in the ways that they need it to be said, and things fall apart. Let's continue here. He gets close with his emotions and it turns me off. That line, I wanted to talk about that line. Let me make sure I'm saying the line right, because what I just read is what I wrote in my notes, but I want to make sure I'm getting it right. When he get close with his feelings, it turned me off. If you did that type of thing, then it turned me on. What type of karma? Maybe I'm the one to blame. This is something that isn't, it is hard to talk about, because this is a critique not to Chloe specifically, but like the patriarchy's effect on women, especially black women, where, I really don't want to say anything out of line or crazy, but I think we as an American culture have this stereotyped image of black men in our head, and whenever a black man does not align to that image, even if we know that that image is not valid for every single black man in the world, especially when we're romantically involved, it can be hard for us to see a black man not step up to that image and not live up to it. I'm someone who, I'm not going to talk about myself too personally here, but I definitely have seen that happen, where someone who is perfectly normal, perfectly good in every way, except for the fact that they don't live up to that, let's be real, sexualized image of a black man, that ends up being their downfall. And I don't think that's fair. And this is kind of an expression of that, where it's like, when he gets close with his feelings, it turns me off. And then, hey, some type of karma. Maybe I'm the one to blame. Now, I'm not going to say Chloe is the one to blame for her relationship troubles because I don't think that's fair. And that's a wild thing to kind of get to as a result of this whole song. But I think it is interesting that we're talking about that kind of feeling, that relatable feeling that I know a lot of other women have, black women or otherwise, to put that in a song like this, because, you know, some people say they want men to open up emotionally, but it's kind of hard to know how far that goes, because it is not black women or any other woman's job to manage a man's emotions. But how much exposure do women want to male emotions? How much do they want? It's kind of hard to figure out where that threshold is, because that is a moving target depending on the type of relationship, depending on the person you're with. It is difficult, and it is a struggle that is felt not just by women but by men as well. Well, it's only felt by men who want to even engage with that, who want to touch the slider at all to move it back and forth. There's a lot of men out here just like, I don't have emotions in front of my woman, I ain't gonna be a bitch. But like, for those of us that understand that there's more emotions to have than just hard, it's hard to express those in a way that isn't going to drive away a woman, isn't going to activate her ick or any of those things. And also, we as men have to do the emotional labor and the personal self and mental health of, if we are feeling particularly troublesome with our emotions, we need to get professional help. We need to talk to other people. We need to seek advice from people within our families and within, you know, medical groups and whatnot, get therapy and all that. That line very much so stuck out to me, because it was definitely something that I've recognized in my real life. And I'm like, ooh, I respect her for like expressing it, because that is a real life thing that happens, but it sucks that is a thing. But it is a true, authentic part of the emotion here. So I respect Chloe for having it here. Let's talk more about this. It's a very somber track, but it has high emotionality. I think Chloe and Holly's performance here kind of make this song feel very grand, even if the song, similar to what I said for the previous track, Never Let You Go, it feels more elevator music-y, or more specifically lounge music, but I think it exceeds. I don't think you would ever hear this played in a lounge, because it is so emotional. It is so raw feeling. It is so authentic feeling, and it feels larger than life, based purely off of the performances and some instrumental flares towards the end of the track. This is one of my favorite tracks on the album, despite my critiques of some of the things said in it. I said, but I like this track quite a bit. So yeah, Want Me. Can't wait until Chloe and Holly make another album. As soon as they make that album, I'm listening to that night one. I'm staying up. And as soon as they announce another tour together, I am first in line. I am so excited for them to come back, because I love them so much. I think they're very talented. And clearly, they're doing more than great on their own as well. Shout out to The Little Mermaid. I did watch that. It was pretty good. Though I'm not target audience. Moments is the next track on this album. This is another high emotionality track. Another track that, for as big as the emotions are, wish this one was longer. A little bit disappointed for how short it feels and is. It's not even 3 minutes long. And this one, I've said earlier that a song reminds me of Pretty Hurts. This song reminds me so much of Pretty Hurts. This is a song where it's talking about, hey, all these things you see in your life, all these parts of your life, all these inanimate objects and whatnot, they remind you of the moments you had with a person. This is absolutely something. Sorry, I had a little bit of a technical hiccup there. And by technical hiccup, I mean I pressed pause on the recording while I was talking, because I thought it was the music and it's not the music. This is definitely something that I've related to myself. There are items that I've acquired from partners that are just in my life now, are things that, whether they be like articles of clothing I put on, and now I'm gonna think about that person at least a little bit, or if they're just things, inanimate objects in my room, or just like things when you're like in the area where they used to live and you remember, oh, I used to go to that store, oh, I used to drive on that road, and blah 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 blah. It's very it can be visceral sometimes, these things that remind you of these things. And I think this is a good song about that. I think Chloe's, vocal performance here is incredibly strong. I like the more serious and somber instrumentation here as well. Overall, I think this track is very, very solid. Let's go ahead and check out what I wrote in my notes. There are several Beyonce-like moments on this album, and like I've talked about already, this feels like the most Beyonce song in my opinion. It's giving Pretty Hurts. Very relatable. The pain of remembering good times, knowing that they will never happen again. It's just very relatable. And that's something I want to hammer home too. Someone said something. I don't remember the quote, but someone said grief is just love that you can't quite express in the same way. And I know that's not the exact quote, but Moments really is a song about grief. It is grieving the good times that you had with a person. And it comes out as grief because you can't have those moments again, but also you can't express that feeling of joy in the same way again. But that also is why you go back out there and say, hey, I'm going to create new moments. I'm going to create new things to be happy about and look back upon. And hopefully when I look back on the new things, I'll still be with the person and share with them in that joy. So yeah, I really like this song. I think it's really, really good. I would also say this is probably one of my favorite songs on the album as well. I think I got this like top 3 maybe. Lyrically, I think this song could be a little bit more cohesive, but ultimately I don't think it's too big of an issue. I think the song lands with the lyrics as they are said. And plus, the performance brings it up quite a bit. On to the next track. Fuck Your Status, FYS. This is another one. I think this is the first single that came out from this album rollout. This was definitely solidly in that era when Chloe was like, I'm grown and sexy. I just did In Pieces with a serial abuser in Chris Brown. Let's continue the grown and sexy shit. And I remember seeing the music video for this one when it came out, or I guess Visualizer is what they called it. And just, Chloe's titties out in the ocean. It was very, I was very torn on it. Of course, this album, standing alongside all the other tracks here, I accept it quite a bit more. But I forget if I was negative or positive on it in my notes. So let's check the notes. This is a song about sexual domination. Okay, I remember what I said now. I like the song because sexual prowess does give a lot of people power, specifically women, of course. And it's cool to take pride in that power. I just can't relate. I think of sex as a fun collaborative activity more than a struggle for domination. And eventually in the song, this domination turns to desperation at the final refrain. That kind of sums it up. But basically, Fuck Your Status always felt like it feels like a sexual domination song. And I understand for a lot of people, sex is inherently about domination. There's literally a giver and a receiver. Like it's that type of thing. Or actually, it is literally someone expressing their power on someone who takes the power in. But I would go back and say that giver and receiver thing, that's kind of how I think about it. I think of it as feeding life into a person rather than letting your power loose into a specific direction. I think of it as like a collaborative thing, a thing that we're both doing and we're both enjoying at the same time, rather than it is my turn to do everything and you sit there and take it, or vice versa. I think that's just a more fun way of looking at it and takes a lot of the pressure off of it in my head. But Fuck Your Status kind of brings back that domination into it. But it's kind of like what's that name of the movie? 50 Shades of Grey thing, where it's like topping from the bottom. This song just gives the energy of like, she's not getting fucked, she's fucking you. And I respect that because, once again, like I said, especially for women, sexual domination is a way to get back some of that power that the patriarchy takes from them. So I fully stand by that, and I fully think that's a good thing and not anything that someone should feel shameful about. But for me, it's just, this song is talking about sex in a way that is fundamentally different than how I think about it. I think that's just the ultimate thing for it. Now, the song is fine. This is another one of those grown and sexy songs that I no longer dislike. I'm just plain neutral on it. I think this is the type of song that, you know what? I just don't have too much to say about the song outside of what I just said. I'm just fundamentally opposed to it. But I do think it is a good song. Of course, Chloe's performance is great as always. It's just, it is what it is. But I will say this, the domination turning into desperation, I do think that speaks to Chloe's quote unquote character, as in the character she plays in these songs, not Chloe Bailey, legally the person. The refrain kind of changes at the end, and let me pull the lyrics up for this one too, so I don't get this incorrect here. Also, longer song, quite a lot of words in this one. Yeah, at the end where it's like, I just want to be the one you trust, baby. I just want to be the one you love. And need. I want to be the one you love. This is no longer about I'm going to desire you. This is about I need your love. So it's no longer, hey, you come over here and I'm gonna give you the time of your life and I'm a fuck you good and all that shit. It kind of mutates at the end into, I'm not here to please you. I need you here to please me. And I think that kind of speaks to that relationship I was talking about, where it's not just about domination. It's about feeding into each other. And this is kind of a desperate sounding way to express that, where it's kind of like, oh man, I need you so much. I'm broken without you type of vibe, where Chloe is definitely not going to be broken without. If any man breaks Chloe's heart, she is better than whoever that man is. But it's an understandable way to express it. It is a feeling that I recognize, maybe even a feeling I have felt before, but how do I say this? The way I was talking about sex earlier, where it's about feeding into each other, that concept gets expressed here in a way that feels secondary and also feels like a slight perversion of that concept. Where this isn't we're feeding into each other, this is I'm doing this so that I can dominate you, but in actuality, I actually need something out of this too. And that to be like a secret twist, where I feel like that's something that should just be open from the onset. But, nonetheless, I like the song. Or I said I like the song. I think the song's fine. I think FYS is fine. Decent early single for it. I don't have too much negative to say about it. Now, I do have a lot to say on this next track as well, since we're talking so much about, this. Welcome to the intercourse. This is why don't they call sex education the intercourse? Anywho, let's talk about the next song. Nice Girls Finish Last. Now, let's read the notes. It's a relatable song about being a giver during relational activities. Been on both sides. She unifies her nice girl and bad girl personas in this song. Now, what I mean by that, if you don't follow Chloe outside of her music, or if you don't follow Chloe at all, but Chloe has always kind of had this, like, she's the nice girl. She's the, cute little girl on the side doing stuff. She's the one who's building Lego figures and has enough pride in the little Lego figurines she's making that she'll take pictures with the fully built models and all this stuff. Like, she's like a little bit, she's not quite Megan Thee Stallion with it, where Megan Thee Stallion's like, oh, here I am in this anime outfit. But Chloe definitely has like a little cute, quirky, soft side to herself. But then she'll get into these songs. And even like, the right picture on Instagram or whatever, and it's just ass everywhere. It's the Nala fuck me eyes all the time. Like, she definitely has two sides to her, where it's like, oh, here's the sweet soft side, and here's the I'm gonna drain you side. Now, this song kind of unified those for me, because look at the title, Nice Girls Finish Last. I kind of read into that and some of the lyrics here. In fact, I'm gonna pull up some of the lyrics here. Let's see. Is you ready for the best sex you ever had? Even better when I arch my back. I'm gonna keep you coming back. Beat me to the finish line. Nice girls finish last. I read into that being like, all right, so in this action, you want to make sure the other person is getting the full experience that they need. You want to blow the person's mind. Whoever this guy or girl you're with, or in between. I don't know Chloe's sexual history. And by in between, I mean non-binary, which isn't in between. It's literally not on the spectrum. Anywho, you're trying to be the people pleaser to the other person. You're trying to do everything in your power to blow them away, at the detriment of receiving whatever you feel like you might need as well. I find this very interesting because as a people pleaser in my own right, in other different and sometimes similar ways, I really find this interesting because this kind of is exactly, it kind of like crystallizes who Chloe is as a person. And I think the whole conflict that I had around that In Pieces era with Chloe is that I would see that soft side of her outside of the music. Then I would listen to the music and it's throwing ass here, that pussy tight here, blah, 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 blah. And I had a hard time kind of like conflating the two. I think listening to this song and also seeing girls out here like Megan Thee Stallion, who talks about her emotions, who talks about, you know, being into nerdy things and talks about having a soft side, yet she will fuck your man and make him cry and all that stuff. And putting those in the same person and understanding those to both be coming from the same, you know, unified persona. This song kind of gave me that too, because now I can see each persona within each other, each side of Chloe within each other. So when you talk about this nice girls finish last, it's like acknowledging that she is a nice girl, but she's still a nice girl even when she's a bad girl, if you know what I mean. Like it's kind of like unifying them. And I found that fascinating because it's something that, you know, the worst thing you can do as a man is say you're a nice guy, because as soon as you say I'm a nice guy, you are not a nice guy. The second you advertise that fact, it's all over. The second you feel like you're a nice guy, you start acting like it, and then you start doing some bad guy shit. But as someone who thinks people close in his life would probably say he's a nice guy, I absolutely relate to this song, because now that I've had more experiences, I can say that I am definitely here for the other person and to make sure that they are, all their needs are handled and whatnot. But also I do that to the chagrin of anything that I might need at that moment. In my case, I know it's because, hey, I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna do whatever I need to do at whatever time it needs to happen, and I'll be able to do it when I need to. For Chloe's case, it seems like it's different for women because, well, it's different for Chloe, potentially. I don't want to speak on behalf of all women, but for a lot of women, it can be harder for them to use their partner to achieve their sexual climaxes, because there's just more involved. Depending on what you need for that climax, you might need more of your partner, and they might be out of whatever you need from them for at least the next 30 minutes. So like, I don't know how that works for her. And this isn't something I necessarily want to talk to her about. This isn't like a conversation I want to have, but like, I don't know. It's definitely something that I find interesting, because it's hard to like relate to all these songs and see myself in all these songs, but also understand me and Chloe Bailey are fundamentally different people. Not just with the gender divide, but also with the sex divide, and also with just monetarily where we're at, the partners that we have available to us, the energy levels that we bring to activities like this based off of the lives that we live. Like, there's a lot that isn't comparable here. But Nice Girls Finish Last is the song that I see myself most in. But once I get to that point where it's no longer relatable, it gets the most messy. It gets the most, all right, we are definitely different people here, even if I can see myself in this song. So yeah, I really like this track. I think the song is really good. Just reading the last of my notes here. Her desire to satisfy is conflated with her desire to be kind. To be kind is to put others before you, and this is the ultimate expression of that. Yeah, I think what I said kind of really talks into that line. You know, you want to people please. You want to make sure other people are, you know, done well for. this is an expression of that. Whether or not it's the ultimate expression, it is an expression of that. And I think that's a interesting thing to portray in a song like this. Something that has also been expressed in music before, but I question if it's been expressed recently in this way. Either way, Chloe, I think she did good on the song. Next song, Strawberry Lemonade. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, strawberry lemonade is my drink of choice whenever I go to any restaurant that serves it. I am a strawberry lemonade fiend. You would think I'd be biased in favor of this song. I'm going to tell you right now, this is probably the most vapid song on the album. Now, I don't want to disparage Chloe too much because I do think the song is good. Like, it's fun. But it is vapid to the point where it's hard to latch on to anything. Like, Strawberry Lemonade just feels like a Doja Cat B-side. Like 6 years ago, Doja Cat. Like back when she was putting out Say So. It just feels very bubblegum, very like, I mean, what's that? You want to talk about Beyonce songs? What is that Beyonce song? I can't wait till I get home so you can turn the sherry out. It feels like that song, but just not as funky, doesn't have as good of a bounce to it. And ultimately, the song's like pretty forgettable. This is another song where I'm never going to say, hey, turn on Strawberry Lemonade, DJ. But if I'm listening to the entire album, I'm not going to skip this song because it is pleasant enough. But it's just, there's not much sticking to the ribs again on this song. And to read my notes for it, feels like a Doja Cat B-side. It's a fun song, but feels a little too vapid. A fun song about fucking. More than the stereotypical Chloe song. More fun than a stereotypical Chloe song, but thematically in line with the stereotype that Chloe has kind of built for herself. You know, we talk about all these grown and sexy songs. This is more fun than a lot of those grown and sexy songs, but the subject matter is no different. It is a song about fucking, and that's about it. Of course, they're using probably some better metaphors for it. Dip it in, stir it up, get a taste, sippy cup, open wide, not enough, sugar rush, sugar rush. Sure. it's there's not much to this song, and me talking about it this long is already more time than it probably deserves. So I'm gonna go ahead and get to the next song, Shake, featuring Jeremiah. Jeremiah, this is another song where I think this wants to be kind of like a fun, kind of clubby type song, but this is lounge music again. This is lounge music, and nothing against lounge music, but whenever I hear lounge music, it's just like, if you're gonna bring the energy level of a song down, I usually like it for. What happened? Okay, sorry, I turned on my my I don't want to say home device, and the speaker opened up, and I got scared. Usually, when you bring the energy of a song down, I like for the energy to be brought back up vocally or with some other extra instrumentation to kind of keep the energy going. Where, you know, Boy Bye and Want Me have similar energy levels to me because Want Me is emotionally charged in a way that Boy Bye is not. Shake just feels like it doesn't feel interlude-y, but it just feels like there's not quite enough instrumentation going on to make the vibe of the song as exciting as it's trying to be. I'll say Jeremiah is good. I like how he sounds on this. I think, you know, this is a kind of laid back song, and Jeremiah's vocal delivery here definitely carries that forward. Chloe as well, I think, does a good job here, but it just doesn't stick to the ribs too much. It just does not stick to the ribs too much. Let's check the notes that I wrote. Jeremiah sounds pretty smooth on this track. Production is a little bit too minimal for this to be the longer. The production is a bit too minimal for this to be the longer it feels like it's trying to be. The banger it feels like it's trying to be. Okay. Yeah, this feels like it's trying to be a banger. It's not a banger. It's just too low key. I think it just needs a little bit more oomph to really bring it into banger status. Let's see. The chorus is like half of the song. It's an inoffensive track, but it could have gone harder. Feels held back, like it needs some extra oomph. Yeah, that's ultimately my feeling on Shake. It just feels like it needs just a little bit more, just a little bit more schmutz or something. But it has potential to be a great track. Right now, it's just a fine track. The next track is the final track of the song. Somebody is a good song. I like it a lot. I did not look this up. this song samples or like plays with the cadence of some like 80s song or something. I want to say it's Don't Stop Believing, but I know it's not that. And then there's like this maybe country song or something from like the 2000s that's like somebody like someone like you. That song kind of gives me vibes of what they're playing with here. I don't know what she's using, but it's definitely like some 80s kind of like School and Life by Beyonce type of vibe song. I like the song. I like Somebody. I think Somebody is a pretty damn good way to end the album. Not as strong of a closer as All I Got is as an opener, but I do think it is a pretty damn solid closer. I would have liked something a little bit more grand, but I think it's good. Let's check the notes. I vaguely recognize the sample and cadence. Vibe feels 80s ballad meets dance hall. Yes, there's like a little drum and bass kind of stint that they do in the middle of some of the verses. I really like that, and I think if they kept that stint up a little bit more, it would have changed the texture of the song, but it would have definitely made it like more of a banger. This is more of a high emotionality song than it is a shake your ass in the club song. Yeah, that dun 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 dun. Oh, I love that. That's such a great like little sonically. I think that's a great little flourish. So yeah, that's good. In my okay, so thematically there is a lot to talk about here. Vibe feels 80 ballads meets dance hall, a ballad for folks desperate for love and intimacy from anyone. In my lowest moments, I've related to this. A nice album closer, but still lacks the explosive finale the song initially leads you to expect. I will say, yeah, when a song starts, I'm like getting hype. I'm like, ooh, this is gonna bring the house down. But then the song kind of just ends, and it doesn't really like have a massive crescendo that really brings everything to an insane climax. But thematically, I like this song because this is talking about just that feeling where you just want, you just want intimacy, you want love from anyone, and you're not necessarily picky about who it is in that moment. I've had that, let me tell you, not even recently, but like over the years, I've had feelings where you just have, it's a lonely night and you're over here reaching for a phantom that does not exist in your bed, and it's just a cold spot, and it's not the best thing, but it is just how it is sometimes. This is definitely a feeling that other people have had. It is very relatable. This is probably the most universal feeling on this album. Just wanting that love, and when you are someone who is single, who doesn't have someone to come home to all the time or someone to text all the time, this is a feeling you're going to be familiar with, and it's definitely something that I recognize and relate to a little bit. So yeah, thematically, pretty good song, and I like this song a lot. I think it's really good. There's a little bit more that could be added to make it better, but I think the song's solid. Now, overall, I think Chloe Bailey's Trouble in Paradise, I think it's a good album. I think it's really fucking good. I think it's pretty great. I think it's hard for me. I don't think I'm going to get the vinyl of this album. I don't think I'm going to put it on my wall. I don't think it's going to replace any of the few vinyls that I do have on my wall. I'm not fangirling or fanboying too hard about this album. I am excited about this album because not only did Chloe take the criticism from In Pieces, well, take out the not only. Chloe took that criticism from In Pieces, said, okay, I understand, went out there, made a bunch of good music, made some things that sounded better sonically, made some songs that had more enriching things to talk about, and came back and put out this great body of work that I haven't been seeing a lot of the buzz online about it, but I think this is way better. I think this is very good. And I think other people are probably going to say this is a very good album. Chloe's always been talented. We know she's been talented for like a decade or whatever. But to see her actually apply her talents into a body of work that is this good makes me excited, and it makes me hopeful for her future solo projects. I am now at the point where if Chloe Bailey puts out a solo project, I am no longer looking at it and being like, oh God, what's this going to be? Now I'm like, oh, the last one was good. This one's going to be even better. And if it's not, it's at least going to match what it was on Trouble in Paradise. That is now the confidence I have as a fan of Chloe. I've always been a fan of Chloe, but with caveats. Only when she's with her sisters, and only in this feature or this song. Now I can say I just outright like Chloe. I'm there. Not going back to that Chris Brown song, but I'm there. I like Chloe now. But also, I think the only reason I'm able to like this album as much as I do is because of the living that I've done in my actual life. I forget who said this. I think this is a J. Cole lyric, but he said in one of these songs about like, hey, if you don't get that line, I think he said it in Life and Royalty, the song that he made with Gangstar on their posthumous track. J. Cole had something in his verse saying like, if you don't get that line, do some living first and come back to it. This album is my first time hearing it, but I did some living first before I came back to the themes and topics Chloe wants to talk about. And now I can see myself in it a little bit and have a lot more understanding about what she's talking about and how she's talking about them. So that kind of has me excited, because now that I've gone out here and had experiences, even if those experiences did not always lead to the best final results, it has me more excited to get out here and try more new things and see more new people. And it kind of gives me faith that, hey, even if things don't go the way you want to when it comes to relationships and when it comes to your love life, or really when it comes to anything, the fact that you have a negative experience means that you can connect deeper to other people that have had negative experiences. Not only is this going to help with, my friendships now when they're going through things and I've gone through similar things, I can maybe help them a little bit more because I have firsthand experience, but also right with this example here, it enriches my connection to art. Art is all about expressing human emotions in ways that aren't created to express human emotion. With the exception of music, I feel like music is it's an emotion machine. But that translation, you still got to translate the emotions into the music. That translation is what makes all of this so thrilling to me, where all these songs started as nothing, and you had to have a lot of talent and a lot of skill and a lot of knowledge to be able to transfer the emotions you might be feeling inside into a song so that those same emotions can get transferred to me. Same thing for music, same thing for games, same thing for all my favorite mediums. And I really find that translation interesting, and I think that translation kind of asks a little bit from the consumer of the art, such as myself, that you need to go out here and have some experiences that someone can latch onto with their art. I think that's what happened with me and Trouble in Paradise. I'm very excited to get out here and have more life experiences, even negative life experiences, because then I can come back to an album like this, or movies that I haven't seen yet, or shows that I haven't seen yet, or games that I haven't played yet, or books that I haven't read yet, or podcasts I haven't listened to yet, and I can potentially have a deeper connection to them because I am able to meet them where they are more. So that has me excited. This whole album, this whole experience with this album just made me so excited to have more experiences, because I literally went from whatever to, oh boy, I'm really excited about an artist because I went out here and had more life experiences. So I'm very excited about that. This is a wild ass thing to say at my old age, but I'm not that old. I turned 30 at the end of the year, but feels old enough. Feels very old to me. So yeah, that's pretty much everything when it comes to Chloe. I was about to say Chloe and Bailey's. When it comes to Chloe's Trouble in Paradise album, I like the album quite a bit. If anything I said in this review sounds interesting to you, definitely go ahead and give it a spin. And then also check out Ungodly Hour. That album is incredible. That's like a top, I hesitate to say if it's top 10, but it's definitely under top. It's nowhere near 20, but it might be like top 15. It's up there. I love that album a lot, and it's crazy how good they were that early in their career, and they're still out here doing it, and they still have so much in front of them too. They're still pretty young. So yeah, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. A little bit of housekeeping here. Go ahead and subscribe, like if you liked it, subscribe if you want more from me. I hope to be making more videos. Also tell me, I did this whole thing. I've always done these videos with putting gameplay on screen and just recording my voice. Do y'all want to see my face? I could absolutely start setting up my camera and doing all this stuff. I just don't think anybody really cares about seeing my face. Not that you don't want to see me, but it's just like you probably don't care either way. If y'all want to see my face, leave a comment and say that. If you want to see more music reviews and stuff from me, let me know. If you want to see more videos from me on this channel in general, let me know. This is kind of where I put all my stuff that can't go on VGU. VGU is great, but they're not the best receptacle for every piece of content I want to make. So I'll put some stuff on my personal channel and whatnot. Speaking of VGU.TV, go to VGU.TV, watch all the stuff there. Follow us on YouTube, also VGU.TV. Read the articles there. I do a lot of stuff there. EmmettW.me is my website where you can see everything I've done anywhere. Welcome to the thing. Still doing new episodes of that. Go ahead and check out the latest one on that. And that's all I got for you today. Thank y'all all for watching. I appreciate you so much. And as I always say, keep it real, keep it trill, and play on, play on. Peace out, y'all.